Jurassic Park introduced us to the legendary Dilophosaurus, blinding and spitting venom at its prey, a truly horrifying animal, and even more so in the novels, 8 foot tall and 25 foot long, with some of the most gruesome scenes in all of Jurassic Park history. Well, the novel version that is. But the Dilophosaurus over the years has become more tame, less horrifying, even made fun of. In fact, in Camp Cretaceous, it's made out to be skittish little dogs. And let's not even talk about the scene where Owen Grady literally manhandles one. The days where the Dilophosaurus was truly horrifying and a threat seemingly gone, a thing of the past. Well, that might not be entirely true, and may well all be about to change. Because for the first time in Jurassic Park history, we may actually be getting the true thing of nightmares, the killer adult Dilophosaurus. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let me continue to explain. In the entirety of the Jurassic Park franchise, the Dilophosaurus has always been displayed as this small animal. Now, not once has it ever been confirmed whether this is a juvenile Dilophosaurus or simply cloned this way, because in the novel, the Dilophosaurus is completely different and in fact is several times larger. So what is actually going on here? Is Jurassic Park simply displaying juvenile Dilophosauruses? Or are they actually fully grown? Well, let's look at the entirety of the franchise. Not once do we see a Dilophosaurus bigger than the initial one in Jurassic Park 1 in 1993. And in all other appearances, they mimic this size. Look at Dominion, for example, Camp Cretaceous, even the hologram in World. Does this confirm to us then that the Dilophosaurus has always been small? There's never an adult one because the ones we see on screen are literally fully grown. That's the way they're manufactured. Well, that's not entirely true. You see, in a screenshot from the Lost World Jurassic Park, they feature a Dilophosaurus species profile. This species profile tells us that the Dilophosaurus can grow up to 20 feet. This would be in line with the adult size from the novel. And not only that, Lewis Dodgson's death scene in Dominion was rumoured to be totally different than the one we got on screen. He was meant to be approached by a smaller Dilophosaurus, the ones we're used to. He scares it off with a gun/flare, turns around, and is faced with an adult Dilophosaurus. Now, for whatever happened, we never got that scene, but all of this to me is hinting that the larger adult Dilophosauruses are out there. And believe it or not, all of this is foreshadowing for the upcoming movie, Rebirth, and potentially beyond that. Now, I'll explain all of that in a second, but for anyone who doesn't know, I'd like to give you a bit of a backstory on the adult Dilophosaurus and how it really festers and nurtures a horrifying ambience and environment. I'll read it from the book. It's only short, but it's very telling. Even as he realized it, the pain overwhelmed him, and he dropped to his knees, disorientated, wheezing. He collapsed onto his side, his cheek pressed against the wet ground, his breath coming in thin whistles through the constant, ever-screaming pain that caused flashing spots of light to appear behind his tightly shut eyelids. The earth then shook beneath him, and Nedry knew the dinosaur was moving. He could hear its soft hooting cry, and despite the pain, he forced his eyes open, and still he saw nothing but flashing spots against black. Slowly, the realization came to him. He was blind. The hooting was louder as Nedry scrambled to his feet and staggered back against the side panel of the car as a wave of nausea and dizziness swept over him. The dinosaur was close now. He could feel it coming close. He was dimly aware of its snorting breath, but he couldn't see. He couldn't see anything, and his terror was extreme. He stretched out his hands, waving them wildly in the air to ward off the attack he knew was coming. And then there was a new, soaring pain, like a fiery knife in his belly. And Nedry stumbled, reaching blindly down to touch the ragged edge of his shirt, and then a thick, slippery mass that was surprisingly warm. And with horror, he suddenly knew he was holding his own intestines in his hands. The dinosaur had torn him open. His guts had fallen out. Nedry fell to the ground and landed on something scaly and cold. It was the animal's foot. And then there was a new pain on both sides of his head. The pain grew worse, and as he was lifted to his feet, he knew the dinosaur had his head in its jaws, and the horror of the realization was followed by a final wish that it would all be ended very soon. Jurassic Park at its heart has always been horror. The original source material is horror and gore within a sinister, dark undertone. Now, I know you might be thinking, well, we've seen the Dilophosaurus in the trailer. It looks rather small. And while that is true, I'm not disputing the fact that there are obviously smaller Dilophosaurus in the Jurassic Park world. We've seen him multiple times. What I am saying is the smaller Dilophosaurus will clearly be scared away by the waking T-Rex because it's the same scene. The girl in the trailer has obviously startled the Dilophosaurus. It will frill/hiss, and then the likely scenario is it runs off. This is perfect because not only is that a cameo for the small Dilophosaurus, it then sets up the reveal of the larger Dilophosaurus later on. I mean, it will shock the audience. And not only that, we've recently had the reveal of a Dilophosaurus via an advert. And have you noticed something here? This design is clearly inspired and almost a copy to the novel's design. Could this mean that we're going to see a fully grown adult Dilophosaurus? One which will redeem the Dilophosaurus and bring it back to its horror roots, rather than it just being some type of gimmicky dinosaur. Could we see a scene like Nedry's death? Well, I know what you're thinking immediately. We've had the rating, right? It's a PG-13. That would mean that we can't see a gruesome scene like the one which Nedry was in the novel. Well, to that, my reply is The Lost World Jurassic Park. And if you didn't get it from that, I'll further hone in for you. Eddie Carr. You thought of it yet? The Lost World Jurassic Park was a PG-13 movie. It featured, the same scenes as what we'd see in Jurassic Park, but there was one scene which stands out to me above the rest. One scene as a kid, I literally had to cover my eyes for. And that's the scene where Eddie Carr gets ripped in half by two T-Rexes. That, my friends, is still a PG-13 movie. So using that logic, we could clearly do an adult Dilophosaurus attack scene similar to the one that is Nedry's. Picture this. It's dark, late at night. The party are either camping or moving through darkness, and they hear the hooting sounds of a Dilophosaurus. Now, the audience immediately will recognize the sound, and they won't be alarmed themselves because they're so used to the Dilophosaurus being a joke. The cast, on the other hand, may not know what this is. They investigate, have a little jump scare from a small Dilophosaurus in a bush. They scared it away. The audience are then put at ease as well because, again, they know the only dinosaur which makes that noise is a Dilophosaurus. Then all of a sudden, they hear a deeper hooting noise, one they've never heard before. The audience are then took by surprise because the hooting noise they know is from the Dilophosaurus, but we've just seen that, and this noise is far deeper. One of the members goes off to investigate into the darkness, into the bushes. They hear the hooting noise again getting louder, with bushes rustling. The cast member is obviously really perplexed, thinking, what is this? They move up to the bushes, looking down at the floor as if to look for a smaller Dilophosaurus animal. When the bushes part and reveal a giant foot, the camera then pans from the ground, rising towards the air, way above the cast member's head, and there's a huge Dilophosaurus, an adult Dilophosaurus, peering down at the cast member. And this is the point where it strikes and goes black. And if you want even more proof, the fact that we could see an adult Dilophosaurus, the fact that Stan Winston himself, when he was producing the first film, said that the Dilophosaurus we see on screen was always intended to be a juvenile. Again, further reinforcing the fact that the ones we do see are juvenile Dilophosauruses, and we've never yet to see an adult. Coupled with the Lost World Jurassic Park's species profile, knowing they can grow to 20 foot, we've now opened the door to see this adult Dilophosaurus. And I know for them people who are thinking, well, the Dilophosauruses we see in Jurassic Park, etc., are the fully grown versions, and we have to accept that. That's simply the way they've been cloned. Now, we can say that, but we're going back to an island before they perfected the genomes. I mean, we literally see the D-Rex. We literally see other T-Rexes. This could be the Dilophosaurus before they parkified it, as a sense, because we know all the animals they wanted to clone were the animals to go into the park. What happens if they cloned this Dilophosaurus and they thought, this is just too big? Let's scale it down, exactly like they scaled down an elephant for Hammond, so he was able to go to investors. They scaled the Dilophosaurus down to be able to fit it into the park. Like the guy on the tour says, the Dilophosaurus is a beautiful yet deadly addition to Jurassic Park. So now with the upcoming Rebirth lore, we could easily fit this new adult version in. I mean, we've got foreshadowing from the old Jurassic Park movies telling us we can have adults, and if people don't agree with that, they can literally create this new lore to bring it in. I mean, they've literally whipped another island out when there's multiple islands in the 5 deaths they could have used. They decided not to use them. They decided not to use Isla They've made another island. So who's to say that they can't do this with the Dilophosaurus? They can, and I'm pretty sure at some point they will. And if they don't, well, that's just stupid. But who knows? I mean, it couldn't get any worse, could it? Unless we get Scarlet Joe literally choking out a Dilophosaurus rather than Chris Pratt. I mean, they've done stupider things in the past. But what do you think? Will we see an adult Dilophosaurus? If not in Rebirth, in the future? Would you like to see an adult Dilophosaurus? Or do you believe the ones we see already are the adult versions? Let me know your thoughts, because I read every single comment. And at this point, I'd like to bring up something very serious. Everyone who's wished me well over the past few weeks, it means an awful lot to me. If you're not aware, I was taken into hospital. I won't go into the details, but everyone who wished me well, it really does mean the world to me. And thank you so much for watching this video up until this point. Everyone who's watched, your support means absolutely everything to me, so thank you. We're almost at 200,000 subscribers now, so if you could hit that subscribe button and help us reach that goal, I would really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button please, so we can send this out to more Jurassic fans. As always, a massive thanks to my community members who are on screen now, the DNA researchers, the head geneticist, DVM wannabe, and Hammer Time, and not to mention our Jurassic CEO, Joseph Frost. Thank you guys, and if you guys want to get your name on screen and read out, consider becoming a member and join our exclusive club, get to know me a bit more. And with that being said, if you go to investigate a rustling in the bush, can your day get any worse? You bet Jurassic can. Catch you later.